Hi, welcome to Round of Insight. Today I'll be talking about new notification channels introduced in Android O. What are notification channels? According to Google Doc, Android channels are created to provide a unified system to help users manage notifications. Just to give you a glimpse what these notification channels look like, I created a small app just using whatever code was here, some sample code from here. And let me create some channels and show you what they look like on Android O. So let's create a channel. I'm going to call it channel 1. Let's create it. I'm going to create another one, channel 2. Let's create that. And let's post the sample to channel. So I posted a sample notification. Let's look what it looks like. Okay, so notification is here. And one thing you'll notice that's been added in Android O, if you slide to the side, you can see some two buttons added here. One of them is a snooze button. And if you hit on that, there's a predefined amount of time that you can select for snoozing. And there's also this settings button, which will allow you to see your channel, and you can set the settings for your channel here. You could mute your channel, or you could, if you want to fine-tune what the channel settings are, let's go to all categories. So this is your app's notification page, and see they're listed the channels that we created, channel 1 and channel 2. And besides being able to mute them and unmute the channel, you could also go inside a channel, and here you could specify the type of priority it's gonna get. So it'll make sound or not, and all the other things like blink light, unlock screen. The one thing to keep in mind though is if you were to set the settings here, if the user selected to mute one of your channels, as an app developer you have no way of changing this back. So Google says that this is done to prevent spam. You could of course keep adding new channels and keep sending new notifications to users, but the risk you're taking with that, if the user sees too many notifications and too many channels, there's always a chance that they could turn off all notifications for your app, and that's probably not what you want to do. So it is a good idea to create channels that are very descriptive, so that user understands when they're disabling or enabling one channel what they will be getting. So one of the ways that Google recommends to use channels is, one example is for a messaging app, you use one channel per conversation. And that's what Facebook Messenger is doing already. So for your own messaging app, you could use these channels, and you could allow users to mute them and unmute them without implementing that separately. One thing to keep in mind is once the user selected to turn off or change the settings for the channel, even if you delete the channel and recreate it, the settings will still remain. Let's check that to make sure that that's what's happening. So I'm going to go back to the page, and I'm going to delete channel 1. So let's delete channel 1. After deleting, let's make sure that it did delete. So channel 1 is gone. It shows that one category has been deleted. Now let's add it back. So we recreated the channel again, and boom, it's added. But also you can see it's still off. So once the user made some changes to the channel, if you recreate the channel with the same ID, it will retain all the settings. One more feature you may have noticed is the notification dot. So notification dot is a little dot that displays near your launcher icon to notify the user that there's no pending notification, that he hasn't opened it yet. So let's try that. Let me show you how the dot looks like. So if we post the sample to the channel, okay, this one is disabled, so let's post to the channel 2. Okay, notification came through. Now let's look at the launcher icon. And as you already probably saw, there's a little green dot here. So this dot just simply says that there's a notification. Once that's dismissed, the dot is gone as well. So I'm not sure about how really useful that is, but I guess maybe you can think of some way of using it. One last thing that I'd like to touch on before I get to coding is you can also create groups. So what it will do, it will create sections. So let me show you. So let's create one group. So group 1, and I'm going to create the group, and let's add a channel 3 to group 1. So we create channel 3. Let's create channel 4 to group 1. Okay, so now that I created the 2 channels inside a group, let's see how they look like. So as you can see here, see the group 1 is sort of the subheading for the section for the channel 3 and channel 4. Essentially, that's all it does. So when you group them, you cannot really just turn off all notifications for a group, but I guess it maybe could be added in the future. Right now, just sort of to visually make it, group the channels together so user can find the required channels easily. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you about the channels and UI. And now let's dive in and I'll show you how to code this little app that I made. So first, this is the only activity that this app has. It has 2 text boxes, which are channel ID and the group ID, and 4 buttons to do the actions. The main activity has all the code. And let me just go over this. So the code in this activity has been taken from Android notification page. So if you type Android notification channels, the first link will be that. So essentially I took the snippets from here and modified them slightly to fit my needs. Here you'll find code snippet to create channels, code snippet to create notification, create groups, and delete channels. Okay, now let me go back to the code and show you what it is. So all the code is in onCreate. So first I'm getting all the views, the edit text, and the buttons, and I'm going to override the onClick for each of the buttons. So first is the create notification channel. So you notice here there's version check for version codes of Android O and higher. So this code only works for Android O, and you're forced to use this new notification channels if you're targeting Android O. And see here, if we go up to the page, says you must implement 1 or more notification channels to display notification to your users. Unfortunately, you have no way around it if you're targeting the Android O. And also for older ones, so this code is not going to work for an older version. So if I were to just comment this out, then you're going to get all the warnings because all these notification channel code is not going to work below 26 API level. All right. So what am I doing here? So first thing is we're getting the notification manager. I'm extracting the ID. I'm going to use the ID and name as the same string. So ID and name uses the same string. Description is just some default string as well. And we're creating this notification channel here. After that, just setting description, enable lights, and set any other settings that we want. Also, I added here, this wasn't in the code. So if you want to add channel to a group, so you need to add it. The group cannot be empty, so I'm just doing a check there. And we create notification. I also added a try catch here, and the reason for that is if the group is not created, it will crash. So I noticed that and I added it later on. Okay, delete channel is also very similar to the code from the Android page, the help page, and we're just checking if it's empty. If it's not empty, then we delete it. So that's it. Create channel group. Also same thing, I'm just checking to make sure that the group is not empty. The rest is just the boilerplate stuff. Okay, so now posting notification to channel. This gets a bit interesting because I had I'd noticed that in the Google code there was this channel part was missing. So if you do not provide a channel when you're creating this notification, it's actually deprecated. So you will need to add the channel ID here. Also, if you specify groups, then the notification is not bundled at all. So right now, if you keep sending notifications after 3, it will bundle them together. But here, if you specify, for example, set group here, and you use a group key, for some reason it stops bundling them. So I have to figure it out. Maybe if you know, just let me know what this is. And that's about it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for checking it out, and leave comments and questions if you have any, and I will post this code on GitHub. Check it down below. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.